Hello, everyone. This is a recording that I'm going to do to show you guys my favorite eyeshadow palettes. So I don't have all of them with me, but I do have a few because I'm still unpacking. Unfortunately, I just relocated to a new location. But I do want to show you some of my favorite eyeshadow palettes, and I want to show you why I really like them. Um, you know, I'm going to set that down there. I'm going to show you why I like them, especially as a woman of color. We're always constantly looking for that eyeshadow that will bang the punk, that will pack the punch. We're always looking for that eyeshadow that is just, has the most pigmentation. So today I'm going to show you, plus size makeup artist herself, I'm going to show you as a professional makeup artist some of the eyeshadows that have been near and dear to me. Some of them are new to my collection and some of them are not. Some of them are oldies, but I'm going to show you nevertheless some of my favorite eyeshadow palettes. So when it comes to neutrals, Morphe. I absolutely love this palette. This palette was gifted to me by a young lady. And please excuse, she's been loved. She's been loved quite a bit. But I'm going to open her up and I'm going to show you why she is one of my favorites. Okay, as you can see, this palette is jam-packed full of neutrals, girls. And sometimes, a neutral palette is all you need, when you're getting ready to go out the door. I would recommend neutral palettes for church makeup, for work makeup. If you're on a business trip, if you have a presentation to give at work, I will always recommend a neutral eye. And as you can see in this palette absolutely offers all the neutrals you'll ever need. Especially if you're a woman of color, there's deeper tones in this palette that will match the pigmentation in your skin and won't show off pale and gray and ashy. So as you can see, these are some of the mattes. I really like this palette because it has a lot of mattes in it. Can't you see all the beautiful mattes up top? You can see this is one of my favorite mattes right here. And I'll just do a little swatch. You can see that on my finger. And let's see, what else? I'll swatch this one. This is a good matte too. These are very beautiful neutral tone shades, right? Okay, and what else do I have? I will show you this matte right here. These are beautiful transition shades and shades that you also can put in the outer V as well. That's why I love this palette so much. I don't even know if they still sell it. This is the Morphe 35R palette. They might not sell it anymore, but like I said, it's one of my favorite palettes. And I'm going to also swatch two of the shimmers for you. Now, I lost one shimmer over the course of time because, these in the old packaging, these are not as sturdy as some of their new packaging. So I lost one shadow on the way. And to be honest with you, it was one of my favorite shades that I lost. But I'm going to swatch this shade right here. And you can see the rich pigment in the shade. Okay, and I'm going to swatch this gold shade right here with my thumb. Now, look at those shimmers. Swatch that on my hand. Do you see why? Do you see why? Do you understand? Do you understand why? Okay, that's one of my favorite neutral palettes. Hold on one second and I'll be back. I'm going to get the other two. Okay, I'm back, guys. Okay, so I want to show you guys this little palette right here, and don't judge it. This is a palette that I bought from Shop Miss A, right? So Shop Miss A has single shadows that you can purchase. And I absolutely love their selection, and they're always on sale. It's always a good buy with Shop Miss A, especially if you get on there and get the good products. So I bought this magnetic palette right here. I think it was like, I don't know, $4. It was on sale. But the shadows on the inside, oh, I'm sorry. These are the shadows inside. I picked these shadows specifically because I wanted them to be neutral, and I wanted to see how the color would pay off on women of color, especially women that are dark skinned. So I purchased this palette purchased the shades individually, and they were $1 a piece, guys. $1 a piece. Can you believe that? One whole buck. So anyway, I purchased these and I was so outdone with the formula. For $1, you really can't beat the price. A lot of women you know, when they're experimenting with eyeshadow, they don't want to just jump off and buy a $40 palette or $25 palette. You want to kind of step out there gradually and work with formulas that are more affordable before you start graduating up to, you know, more expensive palettes, things like that, you know, and you don't really have your technique down pat. If you can get your technique down pat first with the inexpensive shadows, then as you venture off in your eyeshadow journey, the more expensive shadows will be well worth your money. Okay, so this is a matte palette and it's all matte, and as you can see, there is a rich mustard color, and these do have names, guys, but I'm not going to pick them up out of the pan, but they do have names, and I plan on ordering some more, but I like these shades right here, so you can get these from shopmissa.com. All right, this is one of my newer purchases. A dear friend of mine, her name is Tiasha. She tricked me into buying this palette. It's the Picante palette by Carity, and I'm going to pull it out of the box. I've used this palette, and I was so satisfied. Now, this is a little, you know, upper high-end palette. It's not cheap at all, but I enjoy it, and it performed very well. And she was using it one day, and she said, Brittany, you gotta try this. So I end up purchasing the palette. I got the palette out of a makeup group, and I end up getting it on sale in the makeup group that I was in. So anyway, this is a nice neutral, warm palette. You know, this has got neutrals in it, but it has a lot of warm tones. As you can see very closely here, that some of these shadows are just absolutely flawless. And when I tell you the matte shadows in this palette are impeccable, the formula gravitates really, really good to your eyeshadow base and buffs out and blends like a dream. It is a true eyeshadow lover's dream palette, especially if you're neutral and like warm tones and you don't really like to play with a lot of color, but you know, you like pops of color here and there. This palette offers you nice rich berry colors, and it also offers nice warm tone oranges and rustic reds and things like that. I know a lot of women who love those tones on the skin, and if you have a brown or golden undertone in your skin, you would also love it as well. And I'm going to swatch, I can't talk. I'm going to swatch just a few of these shades, okay? So I'm going to swatch this matte right here. Look at the pigment on that matte. Okay. I'm going to swatch the deep brown over here. Very chocolate girl friendly. These shadows, I'm going to wipe those off. These shadows are just absolutely, and you can see the creaminess from the swatch. Can you see the cream, how creamy the matte is in the pan? I mean, my goodness. Look at this shade right here, guys. I want you to check out this shimmer right here. Very rich, very buttery. Very rich and buttery in my opinion. Okay? And I'm going to swatch. Let's swatch this shade right here. I'll let you see that. Isn't that beautiful? That is so beautiful. So this is the Carity palette by Picante right here. That's another one of my favorite palettes to use. Okay. Oldie but goodie. When I tell you, you cannot go wrong with this next palette. This is the Juvia's Place Sahara 2 palette. I don't have words for this palette. I will take this palette in the desert with me. This one and the other one, which I'll do in my part 2 video, by the way. I'm going to do a part 2 to this. But this palette right here, and you can tell she's loved on. She's banged up. She's been through it. But this palette is so rich in pigmentation. Words cannot express how pigmented it truly is. And I just love it. What she did with this formula, it was groundbreaking. This palette is a makeup artist's favorite to go to. I know a lot of makeup artists and they use this palette. This is a palette that you can take with you and not have to worry about how it's going to perform. You don't have to worry if it's not going to mix with this or that. But these shadows right here in the pigmentation and the formula on them are absolutely second to none. And what I really like is her pressed pigments in this palette. So this is a pressed pigment right here. You can see how soft it is, but look at that. That's a pressed pigment. Very rich. I did a look on a young lady one time with that shade right there. It was absolutely gorgeous. And I'm going to swatch this right here. I'm going to swatch this matte shade right here. The mattes, you don't have to worry about them not performing. They're not patchy. They don't patch up as you're blending them into your eyeshadow base or your concealer. They don't patch up. They don't do any of that. As long as you prep your eyes properly, these shadows will perform second to none. So I'm going to swatch. Do you see it, honey? Do you see that? Do you see that? That is pure pigment. And I will recommend this palette because she has so many sales on her website. I will recommend this palette to start out with because it's, first of all, it's not that expensive and she always has sales on her eyeshadow palettes. And these are some of the very first eyeshadow palettes that she released. And in my opinion, you just can't go wrong. Every eyeshadow lover needs Juvia's Place in their eyeshadow collection, in my opinion. Okay. All right, here we go. Another one of Juvia's Place eyeshadow palettes. Now, if you like to play with color, ladies, this is the Wahala palette by Juvia's Place. I don't have the words. I don't have the words. This palette is packed with pressed glitters and pressed pigments and mattes. It is absolutely gorgeous. These are some of the glitters, as you can see. These are some of the glitters in the palette. They're absolutely beautiful. I've done a few looks with this palette. This is the latest palette that she came out with. It's a little bit more on the high end when it comes to the palettes that she's released. If you look at her track record, this is the most expensive palette that she released. I didn't have a problem with the price because you just can't beat what you're getting in the palette. Not only are you getting that staple pigmentation as far as her matte shadows are concerned. In my opinion, as far as a matte eyeshadow is concerned, her shadows are top of the line as far as her matte shades are concerned. She might have dropped the ball on one or two shades here and there in a palette, but overall, your overall experience with her matte eyeshadows are just an absolute dream. And any makeup artist, they're always looking for really good mattes that will perform beyond what you expect. And in my opinion, these matte shadows in this palette are definitely up to her standard, what she normally brings to the table. So I didn't mind purchasing this palette because you get pressed glitters. Like, look at this. Look at the pigmentation in the glitter. And I didn't swatch it all the way because it's valuable to me and I don't want to waste it because the pressed glitters are so creamy. You have to be careful because you don't want to disturb them too much. But I will swatch Pepper Body. This one at the bottom. That. I'll put that right there. Okay, so if you like color and you like to play around in color, this palette will be ideal for you. I will highly, highly recommend this palette right here. Okay. Sorry guys, I'm trying to move fast. This video is going to be long. So if you don't like long videos, just click off. But if you're an eyeshadow lover, keep watching. And please don't forget to like, share, and comment. Put in the comment section below some of your favorite eyeshadows. Also share with me some of the eyeshadows brands that I might have not heard of. You know, everyone has access to different products depending on what side of the globe you're on, right? So if you have some of your favorites, put them down in the comment section. All right, here we go again, Morphe. Honey, I got this palette on sale. I was so happy when it came to my front door. Look at this palette right here. It is jam-packed full of color. Pressed glitters. I mean, eyeshadow toppers. You name it. she has it in, and Morphe has it in this palette. I absolutely love this palette. And again, it's the 39L Hit the Lights palette. It is absolutely bang full of color. Those matte shadows, to me, this is my opinion. This palette, as far as the matte shadows are concerned, performs better than some of the palettes that I have of Morphe in the past. When I got my hands on this palette and I began to work in this section with the mattes and then this section with the mattes, I was absolutely outdone. So I highly recommend this palette right here. You can catch them on sale. All right, this is the Morphe James Charles palette. I love color. I love to play in color. I love colorful eyeshadows. I love to take risks and step outside of the box. So this is the mini James Charles palette, and I've used this bad boy. And when I tell you the formula, I'm not trying to blind you guys. The formula, do this, okay? The formula is second to none. They outdid themselves with this palette. I have absolutely enjoyed using it. It is so fun. It's so exciting. Every time I see a colors like this, my mind just goes everywhere. And I'm like, ooh, what can I do? What can I do, right? So I absolutely enjoy the pigments. These are pigments. A lot of these shadows are pigments. They're not regular eyeshadows. They're pigments, and they're pressed pigments, and they're absolutely beautiful. And they adhere to eyeshadow base very well, in my opinion. So if you like color, try. If you don't want to purchase the big palette, get the Morphe Mini. I probably end up getting the bigger palette once it goes on sale. But for now, I have the Mini. All right, guys. I'm going to show one more Morphe palette, and then we'll move to my favorite eyeshadow palette. Okay, this is a Morphe palette right here. As you can see, it's the old packaging. This is the Artistry palette by Morphe, the 39S. And she's been loved on a little bit. I caught this palette on sale in a makeup group that I'm in. And I always wanted it. And I did an eye with it, I would say about a month ago. It performs very well. Not as much, it's not, what can I say? It doesn't perform as well as the James Charles palette or the Lights palette, but it still performed all right. You know, it still performed all right, and I like it, especially if you're looking to just go for something that's purple and pink and silver, and it's a lot of cool tone shadows in this palette as well. See, that's a cool tone shadow. That's a cool tone shadow. Those are cool tone. You know, a lot of times people don't like to play with cool tone shadows because they can be a little difficult to match with different skin tones. Cool tone shadows can be, in my opinion, but every now and then I like a cool eye. So, you know, it just depends on your technique and how you work your eyeshadows. But like I said, this is a good palette. All right. Here we go. This is the Be Perfect Carnival XL Pro palette by Stacey Marie. Honey, when I tell you, let me block the mirror. Never in my days. Never in my days. This palette right here, hands down, is one of the most pigmented palettes, if not the most pigmented palette I have in my collection. She is on another level. The formula of the mattes in this palette, I was so outdone at how pigmented they were and how they gripped my base and my concealer. Every time I used them, the grip on I did a blue eye using these blues right here. I did one on a client and I did one on myself as well. When I tell you, honey, on a whole nother level, on a whole nother level. And this lime green, I used this eyeshadow right here on, I did a look for Juneteenth. Yeah, I did a look for Juneteenth. And I used this palette, and I'm going to try to insert a clip right here of that look. And I'm going to try to insert another clip of you know, the shadows that I've used, you know, in this palette, but they were all performed very well. I haven't really touched this side of the palette. These are the highlighters. I haven't really touched that yet. I haven't did anything with those, but I've definitely been all in here. I've used the pink, I've used the purples, I've used the neutrals. I mean, you just have everything you need in one palette. So that will conclude part 1 of Plus Size's favorite eyeshadows. If you're new to my channel, please like and subscribe. Hopefully I will be putting out more content. As you guys know, I am a preacher, so sometimes I might put some of my sermons on here, but I think I'm going to try to get another channel for that. But in the meantime, please like, subscribe, and comment. Put your favorite eyeshadows in the comment section below, and please hit the notification bell so you can be notified when I release new content. I'm in a new area and I'm ready to put out content and give what I need to pour into my YouTube channel. I am a new YouTuber technically, so if you see some glitches, just overlook them. I'm still learning, I'm still learning, and I'm excited about it. But until next time, you guys just have a blessed day, and don't forget to subscribe. Bye-bye. All right. Open them. Look, you can smile.